Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Brian.
And I'm William.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything tabletop role-playing games.
And today we're going over the D&D 5.5 Monk and Sorcerer reveals.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome, adventurers, to the Dungeoncast.
Hey, Brian.
Hey Will.
How you doing today?
I'm doing okay, man. It's the weekend of D&D and fantasy roleplay for me.
There is much fantasy roleplay happening this week for me, weekend as well.
Yes, me and Will are going to see each other 3 days in a row, and it's day two.
It's day two.
We played D&D last night.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
go.
we did.
It was a fun time. Shout
My
out to Josh Freeland.
Hexblade did some stuff, and Josh Freeland crit a dude 3 times.
Yeah, we had PvP. It was great.
It was
on
great.
purpose, too.
Apparently, Josh Freeland's a god at PvP in D&D.
Right? We were joking about him like beefing all his rolls until it's time to like accidentally kill somebody.
Exactly. So true.
That was fun. Yeah. So I'm doing some Monster of the Week, and I'm doing this show, and we're doing another show where we're recording Unhallowed. So keep an eye out
which
for
is
that.
a show that will eventually come out eventually.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done.
We're making it.
It is being made. It's going to be good.
Yeah. So it's fun. I'm excited to talk about 5.5. Very controversial to say 5.5 still.
Actually, it's funny. I was talking to I play another TTRPG called Castles and Crusades with another group of individuals, wonderful group, and they're all calling it 5.5. And everyone that I've been seeing on Reddit has been calling it 5.5, and then there is also a D&D 5.5 wiki now that has cataloged all the stuff. So I think Team 5.5 is winning. I think it's happening. I don't know if it's like definitive yet, but I think we're 50% of the way there.
Maybe the controversy I'm noticing is being perpetrated by like influencers and article writers.
My question is, what else are you seeing it being called?
Right? I don't know.
Yeah, see, I'm not.
It's very speculative, but like 5.5 is not the official name.
Oh, no, not at all.
People are writing on that.
But I don't think 3.5 was the official name of 3.5 either. But maybe it was. I don't know.
It is now.
It is now. All right. So we're talking about 2 classes today and their subclasses, the Monk and the Sorcerer. As a reminder, last episode we did the Wizard and the Ranger. And those were the first 2 classes that we were like, this is fine, this is good, but we were not blown away. We didn't have like overwhelmingly positive feelings about the Wizard. And then the Ranger happened, and us in the community, we have a lot of feelings about the Ranger. I did want to add one thing about that. I want to throw this out there. So my problem with the new Ranger and the old Ranger, but specifically with this new Ranger, is that I think a lot of people are upset about the whole damage thing. Like, and not being able to access the spells because of the bonus action. And for me, it's the bonus action economy, and the concentration is super fucked up. But I want it to be said here on the show that number-wise, damage-wise, the Ranger is fine. Damage isn't the problem with the Ranger. For me, the problem with the Ranger is identity. It doesn't have an identity, and the features it gets does not help with its identity. It does help with damage, but it makes it just this boring hunter's marker.
Yeah.
Only hunter's marks.
That does damage.
Yeah, and then the exploration stuff is so downplayed, and it doesn't need to be. It could be more robust. And I just feel like the Ranger should have just been completely revisited in a completely different way, and it wasn't.
Yeah, without explicitly having said it in that episode, I think that kind of shines through with the points I was trying to make anyway, with like where when the Ranger goes into a dungeon, the Ranger should be able to identify what kind of is there and explore and like look at clues and stuff, investigate a certain way, different the way a rogue would, or an investigative fighter.
Indeed.
Yeah, so I agree.
I just wanted to get that out there because I don't want people to think that like, oh, the Ranger is just literally mechanically bad. I don't think it's literally mechanically bad. I just think it's literally mechanically boring and lacking an identity. And that, for me as a Ranger lover, that's what I hate. And that's why I'm working on my own 5.5 Ranger that I'm going to present to the Patreon community and get their feedback, and we're going to go from there.
Yes, that is happening.
That is happening.
I wish the Ranger was more niche, I guess, or like was, doing the things that they tout it to do.
Indeed.
I guess.
Agreed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we have some very vibrant YouTube comments on that episode I'm very interested in reading. So stick around to the Tavern Talk portion at the end of the episode if you want to hear that.
And that being said, this episode's not about the Ranger, so enough about the Ranger. Let's talk about my least favorite class, the Monk.
Yes.
But guess what? Monk from PHP was my least favorite class. The Monk from 5.5 is literally the first thing I'm going to fucking run if we play some 5.5, because they have what the Rangers should have gotten in level of love and attention. The Monk got.
Good.
And guess what? The Monk needed it. So let's get into it.
Sure.
So, Monk, first level, martial arts. You now have all simple weapons are now considered monk weapons, as well as martial melee weapons with the light property. This, I think, is a lot cleaner than having, all the different individual weapons listed.
Yes,
look, it's all simple, and then weapons with light properties. And I think I was looking through the list of all the weapons that those fit, so I was like, yeah, no, this is right.
Good.
You can now always make an unarmed strike as a bonus action instead of needing to make an attack action first.
Okay.
This is huge for action economy because, a lot, especially with what's going to be coming up here as options that you can do, like you might want to use your action on something other than an attack. And having a bonus action but not being able to get that punch in, that just feels bad. And it's kind of dumb. You have this free fist over here for your two-handing fists.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to get your bonus action, and why can't you? Well, now you can.
Yeah. Or you can do a kick too, right?
Or kick. Yeah. Obviously, it's an unarmed strike. It could look however you choose to have it expressed.
Throw a fucking tiger knee up in there.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
That's so true. Next up, I want to talk about how unarmed strike in general, not just for the monk, but unarmed strike itself has been completely reworked. So now when a character makes an unarmed strike, they can, instead of just deal damage, they can still deal damage, but they have two other options as well. So they can deal damage. They can also attempt to make a grapple or attempt to shove a creature.
Okay.
This adds some tactical versatility to the monk with the bonus action unarmed strike. Now, this has kind of two effects here. Number one, if the monk is using unarmed strikes primarily, you know what they kind of lose out on is all the cool tactical stuff that weapons have with weapon properties, right? Not that the monk gets weapon mastery, but if you dipped and got weapon mastery, well, what's it going to affect? Your fists aren't weapons that have properties like that.
I suppose that's true.
So you lose out on that.
You can't because it's a brass knuckle's not an unarmed strike anymore, right? That's not a thing.
No, I don't know if there was ever official stats for a brass knuckle.
I guess not.
Yeah. but
cleats. You wear some cleats.
So now what it is here is like, okay, I'm a monk. I do unarmed strike. I can do an unarmed strike with my action and with my bonus action. So I have two of these bad boys, level 1. And what's cool is I can do damage with both. I could do damage with one and a grapple or a shove with the other, or I could do a grapple with one and a shove with the other. You have this tactical utility that you otherwise would lose out on if they didn't kind of change up what unarmed strike was.
Okay.
So I think ultimately it's really good.
All right, I'm with it. I think this sounds fun.
Yeah.
I like the extra when they say, I know what attempt to grapple looks like. But attempt to shove a creature, I guess that initiates a save of some kind, like a strength save.
Yeah, it'd be a strength or dex save versus athletics check or something that. I think it's along those lines.
That's grapple's a versus.
Yeah, and if you are running a monk weapon and you do have the weapon mastery through multiclass or whatever, but it's a one hand, you still have your offhand to do a shove or a grapple with. So you could hit with your scimitar.
Muay Thai elbow or something.
You could hit with your scimitar, and if you have the nick weapon mastery, you can attack again for free without a bonus action. So that's 2 damage attacks, and then you could shove somebody.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of different ways you could shuffle this around and utilize it.
I like the monk being like a bap bap bap.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It should be.
Yeah,
that's what it should be. Next up is that the martial arts die now starts at a D6 instead of a D4, which I think is a pretty big improvement. I'm kind of into that.
I never played a monk, but yeah, that's substantial. That's a substantial improvement.
And then this goes up to a D12, and so
oh, good.
So what's cool about the martial arts die too is if you are using a monk weapon, your martial arts die can apply to it. So let's say I'm using a scimitar. We'll use that one again.
Okay.
That's normally a D6. Your martial arts die starts as a D6, so that doesn't change anything. But when your martial arts die becomes a D8, your scimitar now becomes a D8. And the reason this is important, especially with the scimitar, is because, again, of that Nick mastery feature, if you happen to get it, which you probably should, guess what? If your shape becomes a D12, now you have your D12 weapon attack, and then because of Nick, you can do it again, And then you still have your bonus action. And this fist here, that's also a D12.
Ooh, I can't wait to look in depth at what the other options will be besides like Nick. Like,
yeah. Nick's the one that just pops out to me as the obvious exploitable one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then next up, you can use dexterity in place of strength when you grapple and shove, which again is great because I just told you it's probably an athletics check. A lot of monks will have strength, but Dex is their primary attribute, and there's going to be way more monks that lean way into Dex than into any type of strength, so I think that's also necessary.
Makes sense to me.
Next up, we have, at level 2, a renamed but also completely reworked feature. This is called Monk's Focus. Now, this has been the rename of Ki. Okay. So monks no longer have Ki. They have Focus. Focus can be Ki or Chakra or whatever you want it to be, but they wanted something a little bit more general to encompass like all the different approaches to a martial artist.
Very smart way to deal with that social aspect of what that entails. So I'm for that. Sure.
I do think Wizards is trying to, whenever they are naming a thing now, they do their due diligence to be like, okay, well, does this name have like a religious or cultural like connotation?
Yes.
Oh, it does? Okay. Well, we don't want it to necessarily have that connotation or encroach on that culture.
Yeah, we're not going to impose that onto the players.
Exactly.
Of our game.
Yeah. Both that, and we don't want to misrepresent a culture.
Exactly.
So it's like both ways. So why don't we name something that is a little bit more encompassing?
That's good. I
think
that.
It's a good move.
And it's if you're playing Street Fighter, what is it, Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5? I think it might be 4, the focus attack.
The newest one, I believe, is 6.
The newest one is 6, but they've focus attack's an older mechanic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I'm
not a Street Fighter man.
I want to play Street Fighter 6 because that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love Street
great.
I love fighting games. I love Street Fighter, and they had a focus attack, so I'm glad that they're using that here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you now have focus points that you can spend on certain abilities, much like Ki. Now, Patient Defense and Step of the Wind do things for free that can be enhanced by a focus point. So I've never played a monk, guys, so this is just from memory, but I believe Step of the Wind was if you spent a key point, you could disengage as a bonus action. And I believe Patient Defense was you could take the dodge as a bonus action, but you had to spend a key point to do it. Now instead, and yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong, Patient Defense now allows disengage as a bonus action for free, or spend a focus point to disengage and dodge as a bonus action.
Yeah, the original Patient Defense is you can spend a key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action on your turn.
I was right.
Step of the Wind is you can spend 1 key point to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled.
Ooh, that's nice.
For the turn, yeah.
So the thing is now they have it so like even if you're out of focus, Patient Defense and Step of the Wind still function and they still do something. So just to go over it again, now Patient Defense allows you to take a disengage action as a bonus action for free. You could do that every turn, no matter whether you have focus or not. But if you do decide to spend a focus point on it, you can now disengage and dodge as a bonus action. So you can get the hell away, and then also people have a disadvantage on attacking you.
Okay.
All for a bonus action and a focus point.
That's a good use. I don't know. I like the classes that use their bonus action for stuff like this, like the rogue.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
nice.
Absolutely. And then Step of the Wind allows you to dash as a bonus action for free, which that is so useful, especially because the monk already gets boosted speed. So this monk's getting everywhere.
Yeah, the monk can be like hell super fast. I've had it. Like I had a chase scene with a monk one time and flashbanging the surgeon, and Jake was doing it, man. He was moving. I was like, dang,
yeah. That's awesome.
This guy's going.
You can also enhance that by spending a focus point, and that allows you to disengage and dash as a bonus action and have your jump distance doubled.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it's useful no matter what, and becomes extremely useful if you use a focus action.
Yeah, you're vanishing on the battlefield, like
yeah,
you're doing that stuff.
Flurry of Blows remains the same, and I believe with Flurry of Blows you can spend a key point to make an unarmed strike.
Yeah, I got it right here. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you spend a key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action.
There we go. There it is. So that remains the same. And, that was already, I don't think it needed to be touched. So I think we're good there.
No, I like that feature a lot. That was like one of the, that's the star of the show to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just the design philosophy here of we don't want your class to stop being useful just because it runs out of its resource.
Right.
And I think there's a balancing act there too, because it's like you should be less useful if you run out of your resource. That's why you have a resource to spend. But I do feel like there's a point with a lot of classes from the 2014 Player's Handbook where if you run out of your sources, you're just donezo. It's like, okay, I guess I just basic attack until
you
we
become
rest.
like a regular person, like a soldier.
Yeah. And
whatever.
I think they do a good job, especially with this class, of
you have some
around
abilities that you can maintain.
Exactly.
Which makes sense to me.
It does, yeah. So next up, we have a new feature called Uncanny Metabolism. You get it at level 2. So once per long rest, you regain all your focus points when you roll initiative. You also regain a certain amount of hit points. Now, this one's interesting to me because I guess one of their big complaints is that, like, despite them going out of their way to make your stuff useful without focus points, they're still getting feedback that people are feeling constrained because they don't have enough focus points, right? So they give you this thing where once a day you could just regain them all.
Okay.
And I'm wondering why they decided to do this rather than just give you double the amount of focus points, because it's effectively the same thing, right? If you use all your focus points, you could just regain them all once a day. So why not just give you twice as much in general? And maybe we get a different feature.
I kind of like the contingent here.
Yeah?
I guess so. So once per long rest, regain all focus points when you roll initiative.
Maybe it's to limit how much you can do in a single encounter. Because if you have double
that's
as
what
much.
that's what I think. You're like, okay, there's another fight. Like, seems like a second win for a fighter.
Yeah,
in a way.
except for better, but yeah, absolutely.
But better, yeah.
Because it's like, the monk just flurry of blows like 8 rounds in a row or whatever at level 2. That's too much. So.
Yeah, I was comparing it in my mind to like a short rest 5e warlock, where you're gonna get those spell slots back.
Yeah, and maybe this works better because you have more focus points than a warlock has spell slots.
Yeah, I think there's a reason. Rather than just giving you upfront double, it looks bad on paper, first of all, and then second of all, there might be some implications with that where you can really abuse the shit out of it in like a single combat.
Yeah. In the end, I don't have a problem with it. It made me scratch my head a little bit, but I think I agree with you. Yeah.
The complaints of being ass out after a little while are relevant in this feature.
Right.
So they're trying to balance that back out.
So moving on to level 3, we get the deflect attacks feature. I think this feature had a different name in the original Monk, but this is the feature where you can deflect incoming attacks by
it was deflect missiles.
Deflect missiles, okay. So now they've changed it to deflect attacks because they want you to be able to deflect even melee attacks. So now you can reduce the damage of melee and ranged attacks that deal bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, so not magical weapons, by 1d10 plus dexterity plus monk level. So, we're level 3. Let's say you have a 16 dex. That's a d10 plus 6, right? If damage is reduced to 0, you can spend a focus point to redirect the damage elsewhere. Melee attacks can be redirected at a creature within 5 feet, while ranged attacks a creature within 60 feet, which is so cool. That is just such a cool thing, right? Like, here comes the arrow, and you're like, nope.
Yeah, it does come into play a lot.
Yeah, that's super cool. I forgot. Yeah, you DM'd for a monk for quite a while, so you have some monk experience.
Yes, Jake was very good at being a monk. Like the class was workable. I mean, you needed to put the monk in situations where the monk is good.
Right.
And we played a game where it was like, yes, beat ass.
That's awesome.
It was a barbarian and a monk. Like,
great combo.
Beat ass. There was some like, I'm faster, you're stronger. Like they played well with each other.
Yeah,
it was
seems
good.
like it. That's super cool.
Giving them items to kind of help.
Right.
Balance
You're
things
being
out.
a good DM.
I was doing my best.
Right. Last thing here is that target makes a dexterity saving throw or takes damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die plus your dexterity mod. So they don't take the damage of the original missile. They take this damage instead. It's a save. And then, level 3, I'm guessing you're probably still at a d6. So it's 2d6 plus your dex mod.
Okay. It hasn't changed much based off of what I'm reading here. So.
Yeah, it mostly was reworked to include melee, it seems like.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, level 5, we have Stunning Strike. So this requires a monk weapon or unarmed strike. But when you use it, it causes the stun condition, and the stun condition lasts until the start of your next turn rather than the end of your next turn.
Nice.
On a successful save, the target's speed is halved, and the next attack against him has advantage. So the thing about Stunning Strike was that, like, yeah, if you hit, it's great, but if you miss, it's just gone.
Yeah.
And again, they're trying to get rid of, abilities that burn and nothing happens. So even if they save, there's still like a partial effect.
Right. Okay. I'm assuming like stunned and stuff is going to work the same. Stunned creatures incapacitated.
As far as we know, Jeremy McCrawford did not mention stun working differently, but it's a great condition to lay on your enemies.
Oh, they can falteringly speak. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Creature automatically fails strength and dex saves. Attack rolls against creature have advantage. So it's good.
Yeah, it is good. Honestly, like missing isn't even that much worse because it says here, if you miss, the target's speed is halved and the next attack against them has advantage. So it's like a lesser version of the stun effect.
Yeah.
Can be used once per turn.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if that's different from the base version, but I feel like, this needs to be once per turn. You can't be doing this, 3 times in a row on the same turn.
I moved away from the monk thing. Let's see. Yeah, this just says when you hit them with a melee attack, you can spend a key point to attempt a stunning strike. So you could repeatedly do it.
Before you could. Now you can't. Which I think is fair because they gave you a guaranteed effect.
Yes, so you don't have to keep attempting the stunning strike.
Exactly.
This let you burn through your key to try and land this if you wanted to.
Right.
That's probably why you're like running out of key points so fast. You're making it hit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, next up, we're moving to level 5. Empowered Strike. You can now choose to deal force damage instead of bludgeoning for unarmed strikes, and this is yet another nail in the coffin for the idea of magical weapon damage. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're switching over to force damage, so now you have fists of force.
Yep.
Which makes sense. If you don't have a way to give you magic items, so we need to give you magic fingers. Yeah,
there's some different schools of thought I'm seeing out there on the whole force damage thing being woven into more stuff. Some people are like, that's lazy.
I think it's lazy.
Yeah. It's clean.
It's clean.
I can't argue that.
Yeah, I do think it's clean. I do think it's lazy. I also think that I kind of like the idea the difference between magical and regular, like slashing. Beepus, we'll call it Beepus. Because there were some enemies that specifically resisted non-magical Beepus, and then every once in a while you would come across an enemy that just straight resisted bludgeoning. Didn't matter if it was magical or not. And I kind of like that. I think it feels a little bit more sensible to me.
Sure. Power creep. Like as you get stronger, everything.
Yeah.
Like there's this point in time where like, oh, they're resisting poison.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, they're resisting. We need magical weapons. And then you get them. And then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
For this particular monster.
Well, and then the other part I don't like about it is kind of it's a flavor thing, which I know flavor is free, but it's just like for whatever reason, the idea of hitting somebody with my great sword or great axe and having to say it does X force damage instead of like slashing damage. That's just a me thing. I'm sure there's other people who feel the same, but it's like, no, I want it to do slashing damage. I want it to slash.
Yeah, I wonder what now you can explain what force damage looks like in your campaign,
Right.
Like, what does that mean? Did you swing your thing so hard that you like broke into the 4th dimension and grabbed a new damage type?
Hell yeah.
And maybe that's it.
Maybe.
Like there's a second weave. It's just force damage. You have to pull from it by swinging really hard.
Use the force. All right, moving on. Level 10, you get heightened focus. So this improves your flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind when you expend a focus point. Flurry of blows becomes 3 attacks. Patient defense grants temporary hit points equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. I love using the martial arts die for all these different things. It's just such a good mechanic. Like,
seems fun.
Yeah. Lastly, step of the wind allows you to move a willing creature with you, which again, if you guys have been listening to any of these episodes on the 5.5 classes, you already know that improving the player's ability to move around the battlefield has been like across all the classes.
Yes.
They want us moving around. They want us using that VTT. Brian's opened my eyes. I'm fully on your VTT train. Like,
not
that's what it is.
And I just grabbed that out of like just kind of looking at.
I'm taking the good with the bad because again, we've talked about it. I like the tactics. I've wanted the tactics, but I'd be a fool to think it's not being used to sell the VTT a little bit. It's definitely.
Some people made, and we'll go over some of the comments later, like I said, but some people were making points. It's like they haven't really been touting the VTT that much. I think that's part of their strategy here, because that's part of the contention with like monetization and they're being very careful not to.
They want to be subtle about it,
that.
and you know what? It's fine. I'm not going to get butthurt about it. I'm not going to use the VTT, but that's just because I'm not big on VTTs anyways.
Right. I'm interested to see how it do, I guess. But, like, you know, giving a lot of money to Wizards isn't, like, where I'm at with the game anymore.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I'll try it out, I guess, if it's, like, not a hindrance to me, just to see what it's like.
Sure, yeah. But that being said, yeah, they're definitely upping movement, but I think that is a good thing for the game. Moving on, level 10, self-restoration. You can now remove the charmed, frightened, or poison condition at the end of your turn, which is fucking amazing. It's not quite the same thing as being immune, but I like the flavor of it. It's like, yeah, you're not superhuman to the point of, like, you can't be charmed or frightened or poisoned, but you have that ability of centering yourself, you know, and then through sheer iron force of will, shaking it off. I love that. I think it's super cool.
I don't.
You don't. You're not into this.
Yeah.
Why?
I just don't like that flavor.
No?
Not really.
Would you rather them just be immune to it?
I would, because what is it? That was mid-combat. I have different notes up right now.
Oh, okay. So it's self-restoration. You can remove the charm, frighten, or poison condition on yourself at the end of your turn.
I wish it was some other time later when things are chilling, where you can, like, in the middle of stuff. That's tough.
So poison condition is the only one that makes sense for it, because charmed and frightened don't carry over. Like, if the source of your charmed or frightened is gone, then you're not charmed or frightened anymore.
That's a fine point.
But the poison one, that makes sense. But I
guess the poison is the one I have the gripe with.
Okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I will remind you, this is level 10. So by level 10, you are superhero level.
That's fair.
Yeah, this ain't a level 4, level 5 feature. We're level 10 at this point.
Yeah, so you can just be like, I'm not frightened. At the end of my turn, I'm not frightened. So it affected you for the turn.
Yes, exactly.
And, like, mechanically, that's fine. It's the flavor of this that I don't care for. Just because it doesn't align with all of the anime I watch. That's straight up it. It's
that's
not like
so funny.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Sometimes, like, that's how the bad guy can win, is because he poisoned the good guy, and there's nothing they can do about it. Like, oh, you fucker.
Right.
Yeah, you're playing. You're doing a cheap, dirty thing.
Yeah.
But this is kind of cool in this game. I guess it's fine. I would like to see how this plays out. I think it's much better for charmed and frightened than poisoned, because of the way I understand poison to work in this game.
Well, I know we're always talking about, like, why is poison less effective so often. I think there's this archetype, this shtick of a monk, you know, being so pure of body they can push the impurities out.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's going on with the poison.
Right, just shit your pants in combat and you're good.
All right, well, there's, believe it or not, there's a second part to this feature I haven't gotten to.
Oh no, did I demonetize this right now again?
No, I don't think so. I guess we'll find out. Going without food or drink does not cause exhaustion, so you can go full ascetic. I absorb my nutrients from the cosmos. You can.
Oh,
you can
yeah,
go
that is a monk thing.
Yeah, it's a monk thing.
Like,
yes.
monks and druids can.
Yeah.
Live on cosmic energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
So now you could just go without food or drink. You don't have to anymore. Moving on.
I also don't care for that. I think you need to drink water, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Again, remember, I will remind you, this is a world in which magic and gods are real. So these things can make sense.
For the monk, though, you should be like a push-up guy. Run a mile guy.
You are. That's what you are at level 1.
You're saying that you're also a magic guy.
At level 10, you start to
become
ascend.
Superhuman.
Yeah, you start to become perfect, right? You're on your way to perfection.
Yeah, I can shit myself and it's clear and doesn't smell. And it's just poison. It's just poison running down my leg.
Okay, next up, level 13, deflect energy. So deflect attacks now applies to all damage types. So magic weapons are back on the menu here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And energy attacks. So straight up, if someone shoots a firebolt at you.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's pretty gangster. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, like, the energy from your body moves outside of your body to deflect the other energy outside of your body.
You don't got to justify it to me. I'm going to shoot that firebolt right back at you.
I think you've got some rose-colored glasses on.
I like this monk, man, and that's coming from a guy who hated the first.
You're excited
monk.
to do the new thing. I get it.
Yeah,
I am too.
I'm gonna run this monk.
This is cool. I'm just trying to ground us.
We haven't even got to the subclass I like, but okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can ground me all you want.
All right.
I'm flying. I got wings. Next up, level 15, perfect focus. If you don't use your uncanny metabolism, which is the ability to re-up all your key points once a day, and have fewer than 4 focus points at the time, you go back up to 4 focus points when rolling initiative.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I like that.
Yeah. Next up, superior defense, level 18. You can spend 3 focus points at the start of your turn to gain resistance to all damage types except force for 1 minute.
There it is. All right.
I mean, I'm sure that's useful. It's level 18.
It's super fucking useful.
Yeah. Well,
hell
but
that's
also
super awesome.
Well, at level 18, like, let's say, I don't know, for some reason you're fighting Avatar Tiamat. Guess what all her claws, tails, and teeth are? They're force damage, right?
Yep.
So,
but
that breath attack,
you're going to be resisting it.
Yeah, you can eat that. All right.
Those breath attacks are no fucking joke.
No, they're no joke. You're absolutely right.
Worth doing.
Yes, it is worth doing, but it's not like this overwhelmingly all the time good thing.
No,
but you're absolutely right.
It's much better when you're not fighting Tiamat. Honestly,
yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right. If you're fighting Glitch, it's great.
Oh yeah, because then they have to do their force damage spells.
Yeah,
to hurt you fully.
Yeah,
I think it's still half you up.
That's true.
And all right, save it. Was it quarter?
Let's wrap this up. All right, level 19, you get your epic boon. Okay, level 20. Let me be angry about the ranger again, because what the monk gets, is this ability called Body and Mind, where you can increase your wisdom and dexterity scores by 4 each. To a maximum of 25.
That is a good level 20 ability.
Hey, that's a great level 20. What does the ranger get again? Oh, 2 points of extra damage a turn.
At level 20, you become a Super Saiyan, is what I just read.
Exactly. Yes.
You collected all the Chaos Emeralds.
So while paladins are turning into avatars of their gods and justice, and monks are literally like transcending the limitations of the human body, the ranger's hunter's mark gets increased from a D6 to a D10. That is fucking
that's a big
sad.
pile of
dude,
bullshit.
That's rough, dude. All right, sorry. I told everyone this wasn't about the ranger, but every time a level 20 feature comes up, the ranger's going to come up.
I am hopeful that when the book does, because there was some talk about the ranger not looking, undercooked, like we said, and people seem to agree. So maybe they'll buff that before the book actually releases. This is not set in stone stuff just yet, right? Well, maybe it is, because they had to print this fucking book.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know.
Right.
And let's not pretend like...
The book is out. Like, people have it.
Oh, then...
We don't have it, because, like, I don't know who to talk to about that.
Number one, I think it's too late, number one. But even if it wasn't, the problem, again... I want to reiterate, the problem with the ranger isn't the damage. It's the identity and the utility and the exploration. It's the feel.
I think that level 20 ability is lame. Like, they should fix it.
Oh, yes. The level,
exactly. Talking about that.
Exactly, it is. But yeah, the problem is, if they want to fix the ranger, in my eyes, like, they kind of got to go back to the drawing board. There ain't time for that.
That'd be a funny roleplay thing if, like, that guy turns into God and that guy turns into God and that guy turns into God and you shoot good still.
I shoot so good.
Yeah.
I shoot 2 points of damage more good than I did.
I smell bear shit. It's coming from the west. That's me.
Have you ever seen
20 Ranger?
Have you ever seen the terrible but awesome movie called Your Highness?
Oh no, but you've talked about it quite a bit.
There's a scene where there's a ranger and they're tracking. I don't remember what the fuck they're tracking, but he's got a piece of grass. He's like, he pissed right here. I fucking love that movie. It's so stupid.
That's good.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about the subclasses. If we weren't demonetized before, we are now.
Right.
First up, we got the Warrior of Mercy. So the first thing you're going to notice is instead of the Way of, we're going with Warrior of. That works for me. Warrior of Mercy, it first appeared in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. This subclass has been pretty much untouched. As almost all of the Tasha stuff is like, no, we're leaving it the same.
Yeah,
it works
they did a good job.
Yeah, according to them, I don't know the Mercy monk well enough. I've never seen one in play. I remember that their vibe was very much like the peaceful pacifist style vibe, but I don't remember the details. But for those who do and like the Warrior of Mercy, rest assured it's the same. You just get all the new goodies as well. It does say here that flurry of healing hands can now be used a number of times per long rest equal to your wisdom modifier. So kind of like a lay on hand situation.
So this is the hands one that did like heal hand, death hand. Was that?
Oh yeah, I think that was the one. Yeah, there was hand of healing and hand of death or something
hand
like
of
that.
Despair. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I think it was hand of death, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all you get for the Warrior Mercy. Next up, we have the Warrior of Shadow, which was like the assassin version of the monk.
Okay.
And I remember it being I remember it not being the best.
Yeah. All right.
But let's see here. So now you can see inside the darkness spell that you create, which, that's not quite as good as Devil's Sight, but halfway there. On top of that, I think like not being able to see inside your own darkness spell pretty much defeats the purpose of the spell unless you're just specifically trying to get away.
Yes, I was going to say it's mainly looked at defensively to me in this version of the game. So
right. But if you're able to see inside of it,
that changes everything.
It changes everything,
yeah.
as was demonstrated for you last night.
Yes, you become God.
I'm running a Hexblade Fighter in a campaign Brand's running, and I got the chance to do my Devil Sight Darkness combo. Paired with my Hexblade's Curse, and
essentially in a hallway too.
In a hallway, essentially in a hallway.
It was a train,
like, this is my hallway now.
Yeah, it became your hallway, and nobody wanted to fuck with it.
Exactly, and that's what will happen if you wear a Warrior Shadow Monk.
God, that's uber strong.
Yes,
by the way, this is dumb strong.
It is strong, but again, I do like the limitation of it's only the darkness spells that you create, so other people can also do this to you. And next up, you get improved shadow step. So now you can spend a focus point to teleport without the need for dim light or darkness. And you can make an unarmed strike as part of the teleport. This was the feature that needed to be fixed because having to rely on dim light and darkness kind of sucks. Because although everyone in this game has dark vision, but if you got a party with a human, all of a sudden, this entire feature kind of falls apart.
Yeah, they're a beacon. They're a torch-bearing beacon in the darkness.
Yeah, or if you're just outside in daylight, you know what I mean? Like, you can't use your improved shadow step. Sucks to be a shadow warrior.
Sucks to suck, I guess.
Yeah. But now you can just teleport and, you create your own shadow that you teleport through or whatever. And you can make an unarmed strike as part of the teleport, which is cool because it still leaves your bonus action to do it again.
Yeah, I think your DM needs to be on top of it if you're running a monk. That's all.
Yeah.
Like,
and
extra work.
Right. And I like when they are like, hey, let's relook at a feature and make it so that it's not extra work for anybody.
I love it. Yeah,
so
I love when the player knows all their stuff and utilizing it, and I just make the shit. And then if they're doing something cool, like you doing that wasn't a planned thing for me, and I don't care.
Yeah,
like you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Right. What it's been designed to do.
Well, yeah. That is an applicable combo. I'm not going to get mad at you for doing that.
Good,
oh no,
it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah,
I can't. Eventually, you're gonna come at me with something where it's going to completely slap it down.
Someone's going to have the data.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, moving on. Last thing that the Warrior Shadow gets is at level 17, Cloak of Shadows has been improved. It lets you turn invisible and incorporeal, and you can use your flurry of blows while in this form without spending any focus points, that's fantastic. Flurry of blows every turn. At level 17, that's 3 extra attacks for free
without focus points. Yeah, I mean that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's their level 20 feature. Right. Look sadly at the ranger. Yeah, and then the incorporeal thing, that just means that you can move through objects. You just can't, and people, you just can't end your turn there.
Why can't you be more like your monk brother, ranger? Idiot.
All right, now we're at the one I'm most excited about. Remember how I told you I wanted to play a storm warrior character with a sword? And I was like, ooh, this what was it? The Circle of the Sea Druid is looking like my
front runner for that.
Nope, we're throwing that one away because we're going Warrior of the Elements now.
Don't need you anymore. I'm a monk player now.
So this is the replacement for the Way of the Four Elements, and it has been entirely reworked. It is essentially a new subclass. This was the lowest rated subclass in the entire game previously because it was very, very bad on a class that was already mediocre.
Yeah.
And so this was a bad subclass. And now it's been turned into a great one. So at level 3 you get Elemental Attunement. So with Elemental Attunement you gain an extended reach for your unarmed strikes, and you can extend your reach. You extend your reach with elemental power, and this costs a focus point. and you get to choose the element. So it's not that your arm stretches out. It's that you do a martial arts move of some sort, and then fire or water or earth or lightning comes out and hits the enemy.
Yeah, you create it.
Yeah,
It's here. You bend it.
Yeah. Well, they talk about this subclass. It has ties to the elemental chaos. So that's what you're tapping into. You're tapping into that primordial force.
Thank God we're talking about elemental shit.
You're the elemental.
Yeah, it's around.
We're back.
It lives.
It lives. Next up, you get a cantrip. It's a new cantrip called Elementalism that allows you to shape the elements around you. So I believe in Xanathar's and in Tasha's, or maybe one or the other or both, there were cantrips that came out that were like shape earth, shape water, manipulate fire. Now they're all just one cantrip called Elementalism. And you can just, no matter, if you have Elementalism, you can manipulate any of these elements.
Oh, you are the Avatar.
You are the Avatar, yes.
Last Airbender has got its big meaty claws in media. Like, won't let go.
Yeah, and as it should.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it's a great show. And lastly, you gain Elemental Strikes. When you hit a target with an extended reach, you change your damage type to 1 on a list and force a save on the target to move them. So you spend a focus point. You have extended reach. You choose from fire, cold, thunder, lightning, or acid.
Okay.
That's the damage type that you deal. And you force them to save or be moved.
Nice. Okay.
So that's all level 3. That's what you get. Level 6, you get a range attack, and I did not catch the name of this feature because this is where they stopped being kind of like going down a list and started just speaking candidly.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't. Even when I checked the article that was published afterwards, I didn't have a list for or didn't have a name for what it was called. But this is a ranged elemental AoE that you can launch, spending a focus point. So you can cause an explosion of elemental power with the magic action, which is the spellcasting action, plus focus points. A 20-foot sphere within 120 feet that scales with your martial arts die. So it's like half a fireball. It's almost as good as a fireball, and maybe becomes as good or better than fireball by level 20.
Okay.
But basically, it's like you can launch a blast of lightning or acid or thunder or fire or cold, and what is it? A 20-foot sphere. So that's 40 feet diameter sphere in all directions. Just an explosion of electricity or explosion of fire.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, at 120 feet range.
I'm looking for the name of that feature. It's not in the wiki or anything.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I couldn't catch the name of it, but
fairly comprehensive 5.5 wiki.
I told you.
On.
Yeah, I wasn't joking.
Way to go, everybody.
High five community. But yeah, so I think that's a fantastic feature. Like that's definitely what this needed, because the way the 4 elements had before was like you had all these different like mini features where basically you could spend X amount of points to cast a low level spell, gust of wind or whatever, burning hands, and those spells don't scale well, and they just weren't great. This is so much better.
Right, gust of wind gets so much worse in a game where you can like push people around so easily. Anyway,
yeah, that's true. Level 11. Whenever you use your elemental attunement, you gain a fly speed and a swim speed.
Neat.
Great for my Stormblade guide. That's very thematic.
Yeah.
And lastly, level 17, you gain elemental epitome. So gain an elemental damage resistance at the start of each turn of your choice of the 5. When you use Step of the Wind while Elemental Attune is active, your speed increases and you can cause elemental damage to foes that you pass by.
Ooh.
So, you just got like an aura of fire, electricity, and you just like zip by every enemy and then do here, D12, 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 D12. And now let me do my attacks.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then also you have the option to once per turn deal extra elemental damage on your attacks. So
I like the late game characters coming up and like destroying the mob very fast.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
So that is the Warrior of Elements.
Cool.
Any thoughts?
I like it a lot. I mean, it's clearly inspired by things that happen in the things that the fans of this game really like. I mean, there's an Avatar: The Last Airbender RPG, like TTRPG that you can go play.
Is there?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jake owns it.
Oh, no shit.
We haven't tried it yet.
Is it
we
newer?
want to. It's a couple years old probably now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how that flew under my radar. I love TTRPGs. Or I love tactical.
I hope you do.
No, I love tactical RPGs.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check that out.
Well, I just know it's a TTRPG. I don't know if it's a tactical
TTRPG. I thought you said tactical RPG.
I don't know.
Mistake.
I don't know what it is.
My bad.
I haven't.
I
Like
was
said, I
aware of
haven't
the
played it yet.
TTRPG. I was aware of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if there is a tactical or not. I just know Jake owns a box of
Yeah. No, this makes way more sense now.
role-playing game.
That is my bad. All right, let's move on to Warrior of the Open Hand. So this was like your base monk. This was like your not cliche, but your archetypical monk from the 2014 Player's Handbook. Your open hand technique blocks opportunity attacks rather than all reactions. So this feels like a direct downgrade ? Right? So
why?
I think it's more in the spirit of what it should be.
What are the other reactions that people do?
Monsters have reactions sometimes that are like big blasts or breath attacks or whatever,
Okay.
I think they're trying to prevent that. Like the monk is just so fast it can prevent other attacks from happening before they happen, But like straight up magical stuff.
Maybe they want you to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good going on for the monk, and I'm okay with a reduction in some areas that make
agree.
flavor sense. This makes flavor sense, I think.
I agree. Wholeness of body is now a bonus action. Do you mind pulling wholeness of body up?
Yeah.
So wholeness of body was, I'm imagining, an action.
6th level, you gain the ability to heal yourself. As an action, you can regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. You must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again.
Yeah, so now there's your second win now.
Yeah, at level 3 or at level 6, you heal 18 points of HP, which is pretty good.
It's actually quite good.
Yeah.
But bonus action, once a day.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice little upgrade. Because otherwise you're never going to use it except for out of combat, I guess.
Yes, you're doing extra heals at a rest, which I think is also cool. But
it is also
whatever.
cool.
This is good too.
Quivering Palm no longer reduces a target to 0 hit points. Now it does, and I quote, a truckload of damage.
Is that the perk?
I think this was like the 5-finger death punch.
Yeah.
And so basically, I think what it was there's 2 things. Number one, I think if you missed, it didn't do anything.
I have it here.
Okay.
You gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in someone's body. So yeah, the 5-finger death punch from Kill Bill. Mm-hmm. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 3 key points to start these imperceptible vibrations, which last for a number of days equal to your monk level. The vibrations are harmless unless you use your action to end them. To do so, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you use this action, the creature must make a Constitution saving throw. If it fails, it is reduced to 0 hit points. If it succeeds, it takes a 10d10 necrotic damage.
Okay, so it wasn't that if it fails, it does nothing. So I think, because the other thing I was going to bring up was, they didn't want you to have I kill the end boss of this game right now kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you flub your roll for whatever reason, even though that's probably unlikely. It's like, okay, well, guess what? I guess the Lich is dead. Because it just dropped to 0 hit points.
So instead of like this kills everybody, this
just
kills
gonna do
most people.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to do just a shit ton of damage, which is going to kill most things, but like big legendary creatures are just going to be like super like debilitated.
My bones.
Yeah. All of them.
You
all of my
rattled
bones.
all my bones. I'm going to kill you.
So yeah, I again, it's a downgrade, but I think looking at it, I'm like, yeah, this needed a downgrade. Like as a DM, I would hate that. I would really hate Quivering Palm if it ended up working on my BBEG.
Yes, because it's only 3 key points. It's not.
Yeah, that. Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna hang on to that.
I'd be furious. At very least, it needs to be all of them.
Yeah,
if you're gonna insta kill my 500 HP, if you're gonna insta kill Demogorgon. It needs to at least be impossible.
Shout out to Demogorgon. There's if you've got 6 key points, you're fucking swimming because I'm putting out my BBEG's clone. Like, you're gonna Quivering Palm the clone, and then it's like, oh, you killed my clone. I see instantly, like I knew you would. Very good.
As I deduce.
Yes, and then they do it again, like, oh fuck, I miscounted. Oh, my bones.
Okay, moving on. Last thing, you get a new feature. It's called Fleet Step. Whenever you use a bonus action to do a thing other than Step of the Wind, you can also use Step of the Wind immediately after that bonus action. Okay. So basically, you just get a free Step of the Wind every turn because you can use, what were the other two? There's Patient Defense and Flurry of Blows.
Yeah.
You can use Patient Defense every turn. Flurry of Blows, you're going to do most of your turns until you're out of focus points because it's so much extra damage.
Yeah, so, you become the god of movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, fantastic. That's the monk.
Yeah, this sounds...
They made a really good class.
Great.
Yeah, it sounds good. I literally don't have anything negative to say about it. Damn, wish this had been in the 2014 handbook.
Yeah, new monk, who dis?
Yeah, new monk, who dis?
Yeah, they're trying to remove the problematicness of it all, and it seems, I don't know, are they succeeding here? I don't remember.
I think so.
I remember being like kind of bummed out about it before, and now it looks better, at least in the wording.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like
I feel more like an anime character now than I used to.
Okay.
That's why I just kept like, okay, this is based off of like the popularity of anime and things like it.
Right. And I think you got to remember that the original Monk was based off the popularity of martial arts movies, especially in the 1970s and 80s.
There you go. Yeah.
So, it was more based off of
that white guy
Bruce
writing
Lee.
books about it.
There was
some weird stuff going on.
But even beyond that, like the archetype is directly from, those martial arts movies.
Yeah, Kung Fu Cinema.
Kung Fu Cinema, yeah. Which
I watched a lot of that. I watched a lot of Chuck Norris showing up being the bad guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
So but I do think the archetype has moved away from that to the more anime archetype. And I think that's just a generational thing. I think both, have their place and they're fun.
Do you remember 10 years ago when like maybe even more than that when Chuck Norris was like the meme? Like
yes, I do. It was more than that, but yes, I do.
There was when that was happening, I mean there was like Walker Texas Ranger had happened, so that's pretty much what a lot of people are basing that off of. But Chuck Norris was getting his ass beat in Kung Fu Cinema a lot.
Yeah, I mean he was the bad guy.
Yeah,
so,
he was very strong though.
Yeah.
He's a very good bad guy.
Yeah. He was like it's almost like that Wolverine thing where like if it takes out Wolverine, it's stuff.
Ass.
Yeah. You know that the
that Bruce Lee is so strong because he
took out Chuck Norris. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So all right, let's take a short rest.
Wait.
Oh wait.
Do you remember all the Chuck Norris Bowflex machine commercials?
I don't. I don't remember.
We're gonna look those up in the short rest. Okay.
Okay.
We've returned.
Indeed we have.
We're fucking back.
Indeed we are.
We're back at it again. Hey, we went down a deep YouTube rabbit hole almost of Chuck Norris videos.
We did.
I guess he was doing United Healthcare commercials that were pretty funny, and a bunch of other ones. There was the Chuck Norris wave was a mighty title, I would say.
Yeah, I guess it was. I remember being everywhere when I was in school and then continuing after that. So
yes, those of you who do not know the might of Chuck Norris, we have aged ourselves, and you can look that up because it's pretty funny. Because those commercials that we were looking at were Super Bowl commercials from 2017. It was really good. If you want to support us at the Dungeoncast, you can do so monetarily by going to patreon.com/Dungeoncast and donating your money. And you can also, I guess, not donate your time, but use your time there to look at all the cool bonus content that we put up. We're going to be putting we had some inspiration come through, and we're going to do a couple of new funny things. Hopefully they're good.
Indeed.
That I'm going to put up there. And Will is working on a revised 5.5 Ranger. We're modding the game before it even comes out. So you guys can go. That'll be up soon too. You guys can go check that out. I don't know when you're going to finish that, but when you do, let us know.
As soon as I can. I'm hoping within a couple weeks here.
There you go. Will, we're going to talk about
the Sorcerer.
Okay. I thought we were talking about chorizo.
No, chorizma. So yeah, next up is the Sorcerer, which I think the Sorcerer has been a pretty solid class historically these last 10 years. I think its main issue was that specifically with the 2014 Sorcerer subclasses is that they didn't get the whole expanded spell lists that the later ones get, and they really need them because Sorcerers traditionally don't get nearly as many spells as other casters, especially the Wizard.
For sure. Okay.
But let's get into it. So, spellcasting at level 1, I mean, obviously. But here we're going to get more spells. So, sorcerers can prepare more spells now than they could learn before. And they could switch one cantrip up whenever they level. That's like a quality of life thing. I'm glad that stuff like being able to switch things on level up exists. It's just like, at my table, like if you built your character a certain way and it ended up like really not playing at all like how you wanted and you want to switch a cantrip, of course, yeah, go ahead. But that's my table. That's not all tables, so it's good that this exists.
Yeah, writing, people playing rules as written can hinder some of the fun, I feel like, at times. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I'm curious to know how many more spells the sorcerer gets, because they did upgrade the wizard in that the wizard can now switch out spells once per short rest. So, like, if they find themselves in a dungeon where they really wish they had flesh to stone, but they don't for whatever reason, now they can short rest and get that.
Okay.
But, which is good for the wizard. The wizard should kind of have that utility. And it makes kind of more sense that the wizard gets that now if other classes are getting more spells.
Yeah, because they had static brain before, I guess.
Yeah. But you get another feature at level 1 called innate sorcery. So this kind of takes the place of, I guess it doesn't really take the place of Font of Magic, but it kind of does. I think Meta Magic and Font of Magic have now been fused into one. So Font of Magic was the feature that gave you sorcery points.
Was that what that was called?
It's called Font of Magic. Yeah.
Font of Magic?
Font of Magic.
Oh. It's like the soda?
No, isn't that Fanta? Isn't it?
Some people say Fanta. I don't know.
Oh my God. What?
You know how pronunciation goes on this show.
I know I have braces now, so I need to over enunciate. Font of Magic.
That makes more sense.
It was the feature that gave you sorcery points.
There it is. Then I'm looking at it. Okay, Font of Magic.
Then Meta Magic was the feature that allowed you to spend those sorcery points on other things.
Font of Magic is the sugar rush you get after you drink an orange soda.
I believe with Font of Magic, you could also like replenish some of your slots. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I have it up.
But now you get innate sorcery instead.
Okay. Yeah, innate sorcery seems better, right? Hold on, I'm looking for...
It's different more than better, if you ask me.
Font of Magic. It's kind of long. Should I read it?
Yeah, go for it.
At second level, you tap into a deep wellspring of magic within yourself. It's orange soda. The wellspring is represented by sorcery points, which allow you to create a variety of magical effects. You get those 2 points, and you gain more as you reach higher levels, yada, yada. You regain all spent sorcery points when you finish a long rest. I guess that's the important part. Flexible casting, you can use your sorcery points to gain additional spell slots or sacrifice spell slots to gain additional sorcery points. That's cool. You learn other ways to use your sorcery points as you reach higher levels, creating spell slots, converting spell slot to sorcery points. There's details on that, but I think we get it.
Okay, so now Font of Magic and Meta Magic have been there's just one feature now, which makes way more sense to me. Like, it's weird that one feature gives you sorcery points and the other feature lets you spend them. But I
see. Okay. Yeah.
And now replacing that, we have innate sorcery at level 1. So innate sorcery, using a bonus action, you can have a surge of power rage within you for 1 minute.
Okay.
Like a barbarian, but magical.
Yeah. Less angry.
Less angry, but maybe angry too. That's up to you.
More Mistra.
More Mistra. While active, your sorcerer spell save DC increases by 1, and you have advantage on attack rolls for sorcery spells. You get 2 uses of this per long rest. This really is like rage for sorcerers.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And I think it's perfect. I think that embodies my idea of what a sorcerer is compared to a wizard.
Okay.
Is like you naturally have this conduit in you of magic that you've learned to control, and sometimes you need to tap into it and just unleash.
Yeah.
And when you do, maybe you don't know as many spells as a wizard, maybe you don't understand magic as much, but you hit fucking harder than a wizard can. That's how I've always seen the sorcerer. So
less glass, more cannon.
Yeah, there we go. Less glass, more cannon. Love it. Okay, next up you get Meta Magic. So now at level 2 instead of level 3, so you get it a little sooner. Meta Magic selection can now be changed when you level up. Again, that's just a nice quality of life thing. And some Meta Magic options have been tweaked. They didn't get into specifics. I didn't see an article on specifics if there was one. But you can now learn more Meta Magic options as you level up. I think that's important too. Although I do wonder if more spells plus innate sorcery plus more meta magic options is overkill or not.
Yeah, it does seem
know
like a lot when you say it like that.
I don't think we'll know until we see it. But running a sorcerer in 5e, it did feel like you needed just a couple more spells. And also, it also felt like, okay, well, if I don't get those couple more spells, at least I could get a couple more meta magic options to do more with the spells I have.
I mean, yeah, in the reality of power creep we find ourselves, maybe this is fine.
Yeah, maybe this is fine. It does make me... I'm eyeing it. I got my eye on you, Sorcerer.
You seem strong.
Yeah, you seem a little strong, Sorcerer.
That might be good. I don't know.
Maybe that's a good thing.
We just read about a really cool monk.
Yeah.
Really cool bunch
of
monks.
The monk needed that shit. The monk was not good before that.
But the monk sounds fucking... I don't know what's going to happen with the monk. Is it too strong now? I don't know.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Monk flavored steaks. I'm going to eat them up.
So from here on in, we're getting nothing but new features for the Sorcerer. So it's been quite reworked. So level 5, new feature, Sorcerer's Restoration. Regain expended sorcery points equal to half your sorcerer level after a short rest once per day.
Okay. A popular choice.
Yeah, similar but less powerful than the whatever the monk one was, where you can get all your focus points back.
Oh, I already forgot the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something body. It was like I forget.
We got it here. I'll go back. You keep reading.
Memory of a goldfish.
Self-restoration? No, that was...
No, it was early. It was a level 2 feature. Oh. But yeah, I like it. It's like, okay.
Uncanny Metab.
Yeah, there we go. Uncanny metabolism. So this is your version of that. It's just not quite as potent, but that's fine because you still have spell slots to burn. So.
Sure.
New feature at level 7, Sorcery Incarnate. Regain use of innate sorcery by spending 2 sorcery points, while active innate sorcery allows you to use 2 meta magic options on every spell. This is just a really good feature. It costs you sorcery points, but if you've run out of innate sorcery and find yourself in a combat, you probably want it again because it's so good. And whether you're using it this extra time or not, your innate sorcery has now been made better. Not only is your DC stronger and your spell attack's better, and what was the other shit it did? It did, I guess that was all it did. But now you can use 2 meta magic options every turn. So you could twin a spell and, I don't know, transmute it.
Quicken it,
yeah.
I forgot the one.
A quicken twin spell. Jesus, that's powerful.
That sounds good. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
You're burning the points to do it.
Yeah, yeah, you are. But like a quickened, I guess you can't twin a fireball because twin has to have a single target. And fireball's an AoE. So I'm trying to think of like a higher level single target.
You could twin
disintegrate. You twin disintegrate.
Yeah,
and quicken it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep.
That's powerful. That's high level shit. All right, next up. Level 20. We're jumping all the way to level 20. Everyone get ready. We're going to compare it to the Ranger.
20.
Let's compare it to the Ranger.
Sit down, Ranger, in the corner.
New feature. Arcane Apotheosis. Do you know what apotheosis means?
Not off the top of my head.
Apotheosis is the transformation and being raised up into a god.
Oh, okay.
Arcane Apotheosis. While active, an innate sorcery allows you to use 1 meta magic option for free each turn. So even if you're out of sorcery points, you can twin that disintegrate every turn.
That's good.
That's
pretty
fucking
good.
excellent. Or quicken it every turn.
Yeah, or whatever the other ones are.
Okay, so just to compare again, the Sorcerer can cast Disintegrate twice a turn now. The Ranger got an extra D10 on it.
All right, just throwing
this out there.
Meta Magic at third level from 5e.
Yeah.
Third level, gain the ability to twist your spells to suit your needs. You gain 2 of the following Meta Magic options of your choice. You gain another one at level 10 and 17th. Those options were Careful, Distant, Empowered, Extended, Heightened, Quickened, Seeking. There's another Earth Arcana one they included in here. Subtle, Transmuted, and Twinned. Mm-hmm. Go check those out. They're all pretty, well, they're not all created equal.
They're not.
So I'm
some
hoping
are situational, some are like, holy shit, you need this.
Yeah, like
twin
is
quicken.
good, quickened is good.
Transmutation can be great, especially if you're focused on like a theme build.
Yeah, subtle can be good for like the illusion stuff that we were talking about in this version of the game, although they're fixing that, so maybe they'll rework some of the stuff.
Yeah, because transmutation allows you to change the damage type. So, maybe you're fighting a red dragon, but you really love the fireball spell. Well, now it can be a lightning ball.
Yep.
Or whatever else you want. Ice ball.
A poison ball.
Poison ball.
Everybody loves poison. So good.
So yeah, again, we're looking at what were they thinking on that level 20 Ranger feature? But moving on, let's get into subclasses.
Okay.
What are your thoughts so far? Actually,
this seems cool.
Yeah, it seems solid, right? It seems good.
It's just more Source stuff,
Yeah,
more Sorc.
It feels more like a sorcerer to me than what we had before. And what we had before was good, but this feels better, I think.
Yeah, before this piece of chicken was just salted and maybe peppered, and now it's got cumin on it.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, let's go over the sorcerer subclasses. So the ones included here are the aberrant sorcerer, the clockwork sorcerer, the draconic sorcerer, and the wild magic sorcerer. Let's just get aberrant and clockwork out of the way. Guess what? They were both in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and they look exactly the same, except for one thing. You cannot trade out your subclass spells.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you did have the option to do that.
Yeah, your subclass spells are what they are, and that's that.
Fair enough.
Other than that, they're identical. I've heard nothing but good things about both of these sorcerer subclasses.
This was the most fun I had building a character on the show, I think.
Was Clockwork Sorcerer?
A Clockwork Sorcerer, yeah.
I remember that one as well.
Did we build an aberrant one too?
Yeah, we did.
I like both of them. I'm pretty sure sorcerers are a lot of fun because.
I remember my aberrant one was Lazera Zay.
Was that the Mind Flayer thing?
It was. I don't remember what her species was, but her name was Lazera, and then she got a gazer implanted into her head.
That's what it was.
And the gazer's name was Zay, and they became one person called Lazera Zay.
It was a Year of the Beholder nod. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah.
That was cool.
Because
I love the way you can sort of tool up your. No, I feel like no two sorcerers are quite the same, or could.
Yeah.
Or maybe there were optimal picks that you could do, but the flavor on sorcerers, I had a lot of fun, more fun than the wizard,
for sure. So if you are familiar with aberrant or clockwork sorcerer, it's the same. You just get all the new goodies too.
Yeah, the flavor fun of the wizard was more about the character you made rather than the sorcerer being like the stuff they can do is fun. Also the character. I mean, I don't know. That sounds redundant, but they both do that. It just felt more customized when I was building a sorcerer than a wizard.
No, I agree. I understand what you mean. The wizard is so all encompassing. It's actually it is so unoptimal to try and build a specialized wizard.
I think that's what I'm getting at here. Is like you kind of just do everything.
Yeah, you just become the utility. Like,
right.
I am the Swiss Army knife.
This is more narrow. Like I'm gonna blow you up, and I'm gonna do it twice. And I'm gonna do it fast. And I'm gonna do it without saying any magic words.
Right.
Like that's
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to the two subclasses they did work on. The first being draconic sorcery.
Love that. So far, so good.
So I guess one thing I should know is they have homogenized the names. So before, every single sorcerer subclass had a different like for the draconic one, it was draconic soul, and for wild magic it was wild magic, and then we had aberrant mind, and we had clockwork soul as well. Now it's just sorcery. So we have wild magic sorcery, draconic sorcery, aberrant sorcery, etc. So that's the first thing. But let's talk about the changes to draconic sorcery. You still have your increased resilience and extra HP and better AC than all other sorcerers. You now get an expended spell list, which was much, much, much needed. Examples that were given for spells that you get are Dragon's Breath and a high level Summon Dragon. You get Dragon Resistance, and it no longer costs sorcery points, which is like, it should have just always been like that. It felt really bad to be a draconic sorcerer with like a red dragon draconic line, and then like you have to spend sorcery points if you want to be resistant to fire. That just felt wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that is just automatic now. Here's the controversial one. Dragon wings have been changed, so you get them sooner, great, and you have a faster flying speed, also great. But they're no longer a permanent fixture. You don't just get dragon wings. They're a temporary thing.
Okay.
Which mechanically is sound. Class fantasy-wise, I think they're missing the point here. My understanding of the class fantasy of the Draconic Sorcerer is you become more and more of a dragon. And by level 20, you basically, like, you're not a full dragon, because full dragons are like CR 20-something creatures most of the time. But you are as close as, like, a humanoid can become to a dragon. You are, for all intents and purposes, a dragon now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the reason why I think they're missing on the class fantasy is not just because you lose, the wings aren't permanent, but the next feature, which is called Dragon Companion. You can now cast Summon Dragon without needing material components and using a spell slot, or needing to concentrate on the spell, which again sounds very mechanically strong and good. Mm-hmm. And if your class fantasy is to be a wizard, a mage who has a connection with dragons and has a dragon pet, this is perfect. But if your class fantasy was to become a dragon, this sucks because you wanted to be a dragon, not have a dragon.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That's just been my understanding of the Draconic Sorcerer class fantasy. But maybe I'm wrong.
No,
you guys
I
can tell
don't
me in
really.
the comments,
I don't really know. Yeah, it'll have to be the audience. Like this isn't. I don't. I'm not tied to it.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
this is fine. The other thing's fine.
Yeah.
You're a half step away from doing the thing you want anyway. With this, it seems like they're trying to put mechanically sound first against lore.
I agree. And like, here's the thing. Like, I do think it's good and I do like it and I would run it but I would not run it for the class fantasy of becoming a dragon.
Yeah.
That's
not what this is.
That's not what this is.
You'd have to manipulate it to be that.
Yeah.
You know, that's still inherent part of this game.
Indeed.
You could do that. It's just not written here, which I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, once again.
Yeah.
And it's not working out on this one quite, from what you're telling me.
I think it's mostly working out. I just think there will be a subsect of Draconic Sorcerer fans that will feel left out in the rain.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Fucking have 2 cakes.
Can we just get enough cakes for everybody? Wild Magic Sorcery. So, they've removed DM discretion from the whole Wild Magic thing, which I think is great. So now it's not, because it used to be like either whenever the DM feels like it or when you roll a d20, you can ask the DM to roll on your Wild Magic table.
Yeah.
Now they're like, that's dumb. Like, it should just be a feature that works. Because, like, if you have, let's say you have a crazed megalomaniac DM who never wants you to roll on it. Well, now you're not a Wild Magic Sorcerer. You're just a sorcerer without a subclass.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously that's an extreme example, but that's my point. Is like, that shouldn't even be a possibility.
Yeah, I was DMing one for Jake, and it was basically like, we've been talking about Jake a lot. Your special guest, Jake,
who hasn't been on a show in like years,
right? And is a fixture on Super Quest Saga.
Yes,
like he's on the recordings for this show. I know if you're tuning in and you're listening to newer episodes, you don't have the whole catalog in your brain. Jake fills in for Will occasionally.
Every once in a while. When
if we really need it, like I can ask him, he'll probably show up, and then I do the notes, and he's me. So
I will say I always look back fondly on the one episode where I guess Jake was coming over to hang out with you after we were done recording, and he just comes in the room, sits down quietly in the corner.
Oh, that was an early one.
That's an early episode, and he's on the camera. People are like, "Who is this random man who's walking in your house?" Oh, that's special guest Jake. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's our special guest. Yeah, they're also like my pregnant wife is sleeping in the background in one of them.
Oh yeah,
also.
yeah, that's early stuff.
We'll do the show as quietly as possible. Sorry, we just really want to make the show.
We really, and we still are.
Anyway, he had a character that was very anxious.
Yes.
When they were in I basically left it up to the player. I was like, hey, you tell me like if it should pop off or not. DM that bit yourself. You know, I can strongly suggest that you're in a situation where this should be happening, but you tell me how you feel. And the wild magic was born of the anxiety of the character. So in a pressing situation,
that's good approach.
Yeah, I thought it was very solid. And Jake, I trust Jake to do.
Oh yeah, whatever. That is one thing I've learned about our table, because I hear a lot of horror stories out there, and I'm like, dang, like we're so lucky. Like I have a table where whether I'm running or playing, like I trust. And I'm on the same wavelength of everyone at this table, and that is invaluable.
I think a part of it is like we've been playing for years, so
yeah. But even from day one,
naturally was like that already.
Yeah,
the way you explained the game to us was like, okay, we kind of get it. We're actors, and like there are rules to guide us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like let's just do what makes sense. Like the world presented is the one we're going to make decisions based off of.
Right.
You know, like flying is cool. I'm gonna fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's not, it's not. You know, like whatever. Like, is there guns? I'm going to shoot some fucking guns. If there's not, I'm not going to force. We're just not forcing stuff. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's cool. That organically, I'm willing to talk about the 44 rules of D&D.
Oh, it's finally come up.
If you guys want to talk about that in the comments, let me know. I know that was like a thing that happened in the community recently.
I wasn't aware of it, but Brian let me know about it.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, where the horror story table manifested into a DM getting really pissed off and writing down a bunch of like, you will do this, or I will like kill your guy, or you will do this, or I will like you will take HP damage now. Don't break my minis.
Totalitarian rulership at the DM table.
Don't throw your Doritos Locos taco at my Tiamat mini.
Definitely don't do that. Though.
It wasn't that
super
specific,
don't do
but there's just man, what angry people there are out there.
It's true. All right, Wild Magic Sorcery.
Yeah.
So the DM discussion has been removed. According to Jeremy Crawford, now it just happens. How it happens wasn't clear. I'm imagining on critical hits or critical fails. I'm not sure.
Maybe it was on like. Oh man, let me look it up. I sort of remember. Go ahead though.
Okay, next up, you can get your Tides of Chaos back easier than before. This is another feature that ties into the Wild Magic table. Starting at first level, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to give advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table immediately after you cast a Sorcerer spell at first level or higher. You then regain the use of this feature. So again, we're removing the DM discretion, and they weren't specific on how you get it back easier, just that you do get it back easier.
Okay. Yeah. Wild Magic Surge says, starting when you choose this origin at level 1, your spellcasting can unleash surges of untamed magic once per turn. The DM can have you roll a d20 immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell at first level or higher. If you roll a 1, roll on the Wild Magic Surge table to create a magical effect. That effect is a spell. It is too wild to be affected by your meta magic. And if it normally requires concentration, it doesn't require concentration in this case. The spell lasts for its full duration.
So not only do you have to ask, but you have to actually roll a d20 and you have a 5% chance of getting the table?
Yes, that's how it worked. So
that's crazy.
I would basically, every time he casts a spell, this is Jake's character, I would say, like, you know, are you freaking out? And are you stressed out about it? And he's like, probably, we're getting attacked. And then it's like, okay, then roll it. And it may happen, it may not happen.
How many times did it actually proc?
Once.
Yeah. And how many times would you say he rolled for it?
I would say we're clicking at the 5% probably.
Yeah. See, that, I'm not into that. A feature should not pop off as low as 5%.
It's just that when it happens, it could get really weird. Because also, like, this list is a D100 list. So you don't know what one of the, like, look, 39 and 40 is you regain 2d10 hit points.
Right. You don't know what's going to happen.
But, like, 4142 says you turn into a potted plant until the start of your next turn.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though. They have redesigned the entire table. The entire table's different now.
Good.
So it's still a D100, but many of the effects have secondary rolls now, and they have been categorized into different lines. There's a feature you get later that I'm about to talk about where you can automatically trigger your Wild Magic table and choose your own feature, but there's a limit. Like, you can't choose anything past line X because those are too powerful for you to do willy-nilly.
Okay.
So
that's
we won't know till we get to see it, but apparently the entire thing's been redesigned.
I think that's probably healthy.
I think that's probably a good thing as well.
Yeah.
Less random, but still kind of random, but going to lead to more usefulness.
Yeah, like, I know how to tap into this thing that once I activate it is somewhat uncontrollable.
Yeah, but mostly will be beneficiary, and at worst, just redundant.
Oh, I kind of like the something bad might happen.
I mean, maybe there will be detrimental stuff. I'm unsure. They were very vague.
I think it should, because it's the wild magic. It's chaotic. It should.
I agree.
It should present chaotic situation. That may be good, maybe bad, situational, but you're doing something situational is happening in a not the situation. I guess that's what my experience with it was like, when it did happen, it was like fucking random. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Last up. The only feature that they give any information on in the video that I watched is at level 18, you get Tamed Surge. So once per day, you can automatically trigger a Wild Magic Surge, and you can choose the effect, with the caveat that you cannot choose from the most powerful row.
Okay.
And there it is.
Okay, I kind of like the direction they're going with that.
I theoretically like the direction, but actually have to see it.
Me too.
I need to see it is the problem.
It sounds like it'll be better. That the complaint is like, it's just never, the wild magic never fucking happens.
Right.
Now it will.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. And if you have to rework things to make it happening a lot not a bad thing for the game, then do that. But, like, I don't know. You got this table. Can you imagine? Like, there's a real possibility of playing in a campaign and being a wild magic sorcerer and going, 6-7 months before it ever actually pops off. It could happen.
Yeah,
like,
the feature essentially is non-existent. It's not applicable to, like, be a plus or minus in the game because it happens so rarely
in the base game. Yeah, so that is it for the sorcerer. I think that it is for. I think it's an upgrade. Period. And I think it's a good one. I think it looks like a solid class.
Agreed.
I think the subclasses were a little less exciting to talk about than the monk because 2 were unchanged and the other 2 were upgraded, but not in any way that made me like super pumped. The way that the monk had
there was some give and take here that made it
exactly
sort of level out.
Exactly that. So, but ultimately, I feel very positively about both classes, exceptionally so about the monk.
Yeah, I want to see what the wild magic sorcery. That's the thing I'm most interested in on all, like playing the monk, seeing it in action. Cool. This particular sorcerer, would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I already know what the first 2 do. And draconic sorcery is draconic sorcery.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Time for the tavern talk.
Tavern talk time.
Let's head to the tavern.
Hey everybody, we're back again, and we are wheeling into this tavern that we haven't named yet, but there's an email that we're going to get to that has some cool suggestions.
Cool. Okay. Hopefully they got one that we stick with.
My Healy Slippies are so smooth still in this new 5.5 world. We have some Apple Podcast reviews that Will's going to read, so please do.
Oh, we're diving right in. Okay, so we have one from Deep Like Dagon on July 8th, titled "Thank You." It's a 5-star review. Thank you, Deep Like Dagon. I started listening to this podcast about 3 years ago when I started playing D&D, and it has greatly enhanced that experience. I have learned so much from these 2, and they have greatly inspired my journey as a player and a DM. I've been DMing my campaign for about 1.5 years now, and still find myself doubling back to episodes to get more inspiration or to get a feel for a monster. I get deep like Dagon, so I've listened to every episode at least once, and I'm so happy with how everything you guys do just keeps getting better. I can't wait until Unhallowed comes out. Thank you. I also can't wait till Unhallowed comes out. You spelled unhallowed, and I think that's forgivable, but it's unhallowed.
Yeah, especially since I say it wrong all the time.
I've been wanting to do Patreon for a while, but just couldn't afford it. But I will be adding to the budget soon so I can hear your newest campaign. I love Super Quest Saga, and I have a feeling I'm going to love Unhallowed. Thank you so much, Deep Like Dagon. We are getting ready to finish Unhallowed. We are recording the second to the last episode of the season tomorrow, actually, and hopefully the last episode of the season next month. So we will start post-production after that. It's hard for me to give you like a hard date, but my hope would be to have the first episode of Unhallowed on Patreon for you guys to hear within a month of starting post-production. That's the best I can promise. But thank you for your support. I'm glad you love all the things that we've been doing, and I'm glad that we've been able to help inspire you in all of your D&D endeavors. So thank you again.
Your D endeavors, if you will. And there's a second review, isn't there?
There is a second review. Let's go to this one. This was left by Writing Moose on July 15th, another 5-star review titled, "Great information for DMs and players. I've been listening to the podcast for about 3 years. I love listening to the lore of D&D settings, classes, species, monitors, I think that's supposed to be monsters, etc. As a player, I love doing a dive into the past episodes to learn about classes I want to play to gather more information about them. You guys are great. Thanks." Thank you, Writing Moose. Super appreciate the kind words. Glad, again, I'm always glad just to hear that we're useful. Like, oh, they find our episodes not just entertaining, but useful. That's great.
This is our affirmation section of the show. So we really appreciate you guys leaving those reviews. We're happy to read them on the show. Thank you so much. It really helps with boosting the show's visibility in podcast algorithms. So good job on y'all for helping us out in that way. Don't stress Patreon stuff. If you guys can't donate to Patreon, that's totally fine. Sorry about the bonus content being behind a paywall. That's just sort of the shtick that you do when you have a Patreon. You got to like kind of curate it a little bit. There's some really cool stuff on Patreon. If you can get in there at any denomination, there are stuff you can participate in. The suggested denominations are like $5-10, a month. Somewhere in there. We are not Netflix. We cannot compete with Netflix on a content thing. So if you're looking at it like that,
we're two guys.
We just can't.
In a cave.
Yeah.
With a box of scraps.
I understand that you feel like, oh, well, I'm getting a lot more value for my $10 on Netflix. You are. So that's just the way it is. But it's like if you want to help like enhance the show, make our lives better, and you feel like we've been doing good work, like we really, really appreciate it, and we do as much as we can on there. I know he said we were going to talk about the Ranger like somewhere in the episode, like the comments about that. There are a lot of them. But I did promise in a previous episode that supersedes this one that we would prioritize physical mail
and
podcast reviews and emails first.
That's true.
We're going to do that instead. And then next episode, we'll read YouTube comments because we'll be out of stuff to read.
Unless a random package randomly arrives mid-episode, which is impossible because that's at a P.O. box far from here.
P.O. box. It's 2 blocks. There's 4 blocks away or something like that. All right. We're starting with I'm just going. I don't know. We're going to go through the emails to make sure we don't miss any, but and we'll get to them if I miss them. But I'm going to start with an email that came in after I'm just going by dates for our last recording date. So we recorded on July 6th. He's coming in July 9th. Mark Ryan says, great episode. Never thought about, the email's titled Magmen and Lava Creeps. Mark Ryan says, great episode. Never thought about using the lava creeps before. Your episode inspired me to figure out a way to bring them into my campaign. Cool. Glad that you were inspired by the show, for sure.
Indeed.
Dragon of Ice Spire Peak, DIP, or DOIP, is a great one for teaching new players. The ideas also worked for experienced players as it scales up. Chronology of the Wizard of the Coast Adventures puts it after the original Lost Mines of Phandelver, or LMAP, for my various clients groups.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, okay. 1, I've used the locations in LMAP to flesh out the area. 2, run DIP concurrently. 3, run DIP as an upper level adventure. 4, use the chapters as one-off adventures. And 5, scale the adventure up to start at 5th level. I think it's one of the better WotC adventures for flexibility and the ability to harvest for non-FA campaigns. You can also weave it into the Storm King's Thunder, provided a certain chapter goes a specific way. Spoiler if I elaborate, so I won't. But there's a slight canon disconnect between the two, having to do with the D's age in DIP. That's from Mark, sent from my phone.
Thank you, Mark. I've heard a lot of good things about Dragons of Ice Spire Peak. And funnily enough, it seems like Wizards keeps leaning more into Lost Mines of Phandelver, which I've heard good things about as well, which I have not ran. And then I have the starter kit that they came out with a few years ago. It's Dragons of what was it? Thunder Island, Dragons of something, Shipwreck Isle. That's it. Dragons of Shipwreck Isle. Which, funnily enough, that came out and then I never heard about it again.
Okay.
But I have heard Dragons of Ice Spire Peak is good, and it's nice to hear that it was good for you.
Our next email is, thank you, Ryan, for emailing. We appreciate you. Our next email is from Wesley Lopez, 5.5 Warlock Talk. Hi, Wes here. Been listening for over a year now. Just joined on the Discord. Love the show. Thanks.
Thank you.
We got a link below for Discord if you guys want to pop in there and say what's up. I love how you mentioned using Hex and then running away from an enemy. When talking about the 5.5 Warlock, I once used my Hex on a hag, gave her disadvantage on wisdom checks, then convinced her to stand down for a round. The next round, I used my Hex Blade's Curse and 6 charges of the Wand of Magic Missile and blew her away, set for my phone.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. This is what emails are all about, baby. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.
Next, we have James McKenzie, Tavern Names.
Oh, okay.
This is it.
I'm all ears.
This is a moneymaker right here. I've tricked the audience into doing our job. Hi, Will and Brian. Longtime listener, first-time writer. I love that. I got to read that out loud. That's awesome. I just finished listening to episode 399, and you had a great question. What are you going to call the tavern we're in right now? So I made a list for funsies.
Okay, let's hear it.
The Gaping Maw and Full Belly.
Ooh, good.
Good.
Strong start. A little bit of mouthful, but I'm into it.
The Dungeon Cask Inn.
Not bad.
I like the Dungeon Cask.
Yes,
that's really good.
Yeah, welcome to the Dungeon Cask.
That's my winner right now.
Okay,
although I respect the previous one.
Indeed.
The Swine and Piping.
Okay, all right.
Chillin' and Burn Cafe.
Nah.
A Griffin Space. Like a
tear in space.
A tear in space. Yeah. The Bald Turtles. What is that a reference to?
I'm not sure.
Like teenage TMNT, like that. They're bald.
I am bald. Is that a reference
all the turtles
to my
are bald.
baldness?
Is that about? There was so much bald talk.
There was a lot of bald talk
everywhere on every
honestly,
platform we have.
But I think a lot of people came to the same conclusion as I have. The problem isn't that there aren't bald characters; is that they're almost never a hero.
No, you were. What I'm seeing is that's incorrect.
No, I
This
was
is a
seeing
split
drastic
across.
No, like because people were naming a lot of supporting characters, a lot of what's like gray characters, a lot of
Yeah, but a lot of characters got named that are heroes that are bald. Also,
there was a few.
it was a few across. It was.
Yeah.
I saw a pretty widespread across the board that leans in your favor.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people were listing, and then I saw people saying, well, yeah, kind of more to Will's point, like a lot of those people aren't heroes or main characters of any
I
kind.
did see that stuff.
Yeah.
I saw, but
Yeah.
you know, anyway. I'm not here to argue about it. Will says it's his business. Tavern of the Thirsty Traders. Cool.
Okay.
The Fragrant Fairs Res. That's the name of the mist in the Underdark.
It is, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's cool. The Fragrant Fairs Res.
It is cool.
And the Demon Prince's Salute. Cheers. Thank you, James. Those are
Thank
pretty
you,
good.
James. Those are pretty good. I'm leaning to the Dungeon Cast.
The Dungeon Cask is
good.
very, very
It's
good.
primo. Yeah,
I like it. I like it. All right, next one's from Paul Morris. Your take on the new Wizard. Okay, first, let me say, as an old fart that played D&D back in the 70s and 80s before I got into it 2 or 3 years ago, you guys are the best at connecting the past editions and the new with actually smart and thoughtful critiques and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, Will's ancient inside his body. So he's the bridge.
I have an ancient soul.
Second, the new rules for the wizard class, as well as others, have flavor from second edition. Never played 3 or 4, so what is old is new, kind of like in fashion. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Third, love the podcast. When I got back into the game, you guys were the first podcast I started listening to get context for 5th edition. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Sent from iPhone.
Oh, thank you very much. Very kind words. I appreciate it.
Excellent. We got another email from Paul as well that I'm willing to read here.
Oh, okay.
It's just titled Rangers.
Oh.
Or Rangers, as I like to say. Hey, wanted to point out that Rangers were casters in 2nd edition.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mainly
Didn't know that.
We appreciate the context here because we're not always scrubbing 2nd edition like that. Mainly druidic spells. They had access to some of the thief percentile abilities like climb and hide in shadows. Just kind of echoes what's going on now. My issue, and I would love for y'all's take on this, is that Rangers should be bowmen or bow people. I said bow people. It's not in here. They should be hunter, tracker, wilderness experts. Agreed. Again, IMO. So why not take Arcana Archer and throw some of those abilities into Ranger
Oh, the
class?
Arcane Archer.
Yeah.
The Arcane Archer.
Subclass could focus on 2-weapon fighting or bows, specifically magic abilities. What y'all think? Sent from my phone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that argue the Arcane Archer always should have been a Ranger class. And that it should have been just a better subclass. Because it was kind of made poorly. But I mean, I am of the opinion that there are kind of 2 different basic class fantasies when it comes to the Ranger. There's the Druidic one, which mixes the magic and melee, which is the one that Wizards of the Coast decided to go with when it came to starting 5th edition. But then I think there is the alternative, like survivalist hunter, that does not have magic but uses like knowledge and physical prowess to both kind of dwell and like live in what's the word I'm looking for? Like some Rangers might live in balance with nature. Other Rangers might dominate nature. They're using their knowledge to enhance their quality of life, their understanding, and to benefit society. Like they're not necessarily druids or druidic, you know? They definitely can be, but my point is like there's this survivalist physical style ranger and then there's the more mystical magical style ranger. And I think it was a mistake for Wizards to, when they made their original ranger, to just give all ranger spellcasting. And then they made a bunch of other mistakes after that too. I think that, and kind of what I'm doing in my personal project of revising the Ranger is I've turned this more druidic caster Ranger into a subclass while leaving the base Ranger as a non-caster. And And yeah, I think that kind of leans into your point about like them having some rogue abilities back in 2nd edition, and how you feel like they should be focused on being like a hunter, a trapper, a bow person,
right?
you know, or even a dual wielder, which I think that is kind of like a little offshoot archetype of like. I'm not sure exactly where it came from. Like, I have memories of Aragorn dual wielding, but other people say he didn't, and so maybe that's a mistaken memory. But obviously, Drizzt is one. But dual wielding, I think, should be a thing that Rangers excel in a unique way. Which isn't to say this should be strictly better than the fighters at dual wielding, because the fighter definitely needs its niche as being the best combatant. But yeah, there are just certain class fantasies that I don't think are covered. And then I wanted to throw another thing out there about the Ranger, because I think there's been a lot of talk of like there is no touchstone for a Ranger in fiction besides Aragorn or Legolas, and that's just blatantly not true. And number one, there's Drizzt, but number two is, like, has anybody read the Witcher books? Like, that motherfucker's a ranger. He's out there hunting and slaying monsters like an expert hunter and tracker, and then he's using the components of the monsters to be better at hunting monsters. Like,
yeah, like that's probably the element that's the hardest to create. Is like,
sure,
you know, is every stat block going to include if the ranger's here? And
right?
They decide to
you
loot,
can't do that. Yeah. But I'm sure there's a more elegant way. But my point is, like, there are characters in fiction that are emblematic of the
you're
Ranger.
just overlooking them based off of the more popular
right.
things that have been in our face for a while. But yeah,
exactly.
I mean, like, The Witcher has been out for a little while. The books have been out for a long time. You know.
But anyways, yeah. So does that answer the question? Was there a question? I kind of went on a tangent. I'm sorry.
It was just like a commentary on the Ranger mostly. Yeah. Like,
but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the Arcane Archer could definitely work better as a Ranger class, but I think the Ranger's issue is a bit more fundamental.
Yeah,
is what I think.
We'll talk more about the Ranger and the comments from our specific YouTube community on the Ranger next episode at the end, because we'll be out of emails, because this is my last one.
Okay.
Right? Just double check that real quick. Yeah, this is our last one. Zephon Zeiler says, title, love the show.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. Hey.
Hi.
Just reaching out and want to say that your show has brought me many laughs on boring work days and have almost seen every episode. Go get on that. Your lore videos have helped me a ton for my own games, and the podcast is a wealth of knowledge. I have been an avid listener for years and am always ecstatic to see another episode drop. I am also extremely excited for Star Seeker's Guide to Dragonstar and can't wait to get my hands on it to read.
Oh, I cannot wait for you to get your hands on it to read too.
Let's fucking kill the book.
I'm getting so close,
Destroy
guys.
it.
I'm getting so fucking close.
You guys have been such an inspiration that I am planning on making my own TTRPG modules. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to start with some one-shots and hopefully make way to a fully fleshed out book like what you guys are doing.
Awesome.
It's Will doing it.
Thank
you can bet you two are getting some copies for free. Fuck yeah.
Cool. We'll take them.
Keep up the good work, and remember, don't fart in the Underdark.
Don't fart in the Underdark.
Don't do that. You can go to our merch shop and buy
one of three different designs about not farting in the Underdark.
P.S. Shout out to Demogorgon.
Shout out to Demogorgon.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent emails, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you want your email read on the show, send it to our email, thedungeoncast@gmail.com. I love this portion of the show. I'm a big fan of it. Thank you guys.
It's definitely developed.
Especially if you want to talk about something off topic that maybe you've been wanting us to talk about. Maybe it can't carry its own episode. You ever have those thoughts? Hit us up, man. We're ready to chat.
We are.
But other than that, I think we're gonna call it right there.
All right.
I think. I had a thing I was going to pitch to you about another format change.
You can do it now, or you can do it after.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
Because we call the next portion the long rest. I think the long rest should be us not doing anything.
Podcast. Yeah. Okay.
So get ready for Dungeoncast. If you want Dungeoncast, like like where to find us, that's gonna play on an automatic. Basically, we're gonna call it a game right now, and then you're gonna continue to hear our voices say where you can find all our shit.
That makes a lot of sense.
If you guys want to know that, because you haven't heard it a bajillion times on the show before, it'll play at the end. I'm sick of doing it. Will's sick of doing it.
Yeah.
It's the same shit every time.
Indeed.
We're just going to pre-record it, let it play. It's going to be the same thing for a long time until we update something in our notes that mandates a change.
Indeed.
So let's call it a game.
Let's call it a game.
Maybe.
Talk to you guys later. Oh, that felt so good.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Long Rest. This is the part of the show where we tell you about all the stuff that's going on with the Dungeoncast. One of those things, Starseeker's Guide to Drakenstar is on its way-ish, yeah?
Yep, working on the last chapter. Lots of monsters. So many monsters.
Thank you to everybody who has supported that project. Will's been working his buttocks off getting a very cool book written, and we're all really proud of him, so thanks, Will, for doing that.
I appreciate it.
Like we said, we're going to be making some adjustments to how the show is formatted. You've heard a couple of them in these recent episodes and upcoming episodes, so keep an eye out for that. We did want to tell you about our new merch shop. So thank you, Dustin, for doing so much cool work in the merch shop.
Yes, there's now a growing collection of super freaking sick designs. I've been wearing one all episode, and you'll see it again in the next episode. But the Ooze Roomba shirt. But I believe there's an Asmodeus design in the works. There's a couple awesome Demogorgon designs on there. There's Bahamut's design, Bahamut's Gym. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there. So if you guys are fans of the show and want to get really badass looking merch that reps the show and also support an artist who's a big fan of the show and does some awesome work, go check out the link in the description, Baba Yaga's Yard Sale. It's where you will find all your new awesome Dungeoncast merch.
Yeah, we if you want to interact with the show in our tavern talk section, you can do so by emailing us at thedungeoncast@gmail.com. You can also send hard mail into I believe it's 1784 PO Box 1784, Upland, California 91785. But that address is below in case I messed it up, so check that out in the description. You can send us mail and we'll read it on the show. You can also leave YouTube comments, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That really helps us out a lot. And we do read YouTube comments on the show. We kind of pick and choose which episodes we want to go by, but we usually just read everything that's there. We don't really curate too much unless it's like too crazy. And then we also have other ways for you to interact with us on social media. Will, can you speak on that?
Yeah, in the description you'll find links to our Twitter, to our Instagram, to our Discord, and to our Mastodon and our Threads account.
Yeah, I saw some disparaging stuff about Instagram using artists' posts to curate their AI-generated art.
Oh,
and so I see a lot of artists leaving Instagram right now, and I do not blame you. So,
no, I honestly, I'm learning about this right now.
Yeah, that's been an unfortunate thing that happened. I'm on Instagram a lot. You can follow me, Sound Good Inc. If you want to come chat with me. I'm posting stuff about like my turtle or like whatever, dude. I'm not like doing a ton of D&D stuff there, but some of you guys send me funny D&D memes, and I think that's pretty cool. So feel free to continue to do that and come interact with me there. You can also find us on Discord. That's a great place to come talk and chat with us.
That's like the only social media I actually personally partake in.
Yeah, Discord is great for a lot of things. If you're in the Dungeoncast Discord and you want to ask us something in real time, we'll probably answer. I usually try to get in there and if it's in that particular thread, but there's lots of stuff to do there. We have a really awesome team that admins and moderates that stuff for us. So thank you guys very much for doing that. Also, thank you to our team that helps us do cool stuff in the background. Just want to take a second to shout out to you. And then I think, is there anything else that we want to talk about in terms of show?
I think that's pretty much it.
Patreon.com/Dungeoncast. You can go support us there. You can find Alien and Beer content, early episodes, show notes.
Eventually, there will be early access to our awesome
Unhallowed.
in the works horror RPG campaign, Unhallowed.
Yeah, it's been. It's taking a long time to produce it.
Some people have had kids in the works. We had to do a couple revamps. Someone had to walk away. It's been through the ringer, but it's come out great so far. So we're going to finish recording this series this summer and start on post-production this summer. Yeah. And hopefully have it out by the end of this year or early next year.
Yeah, we're going to figure out some way to get you guys Unhallowed content ASAP. I was pitching to Will, maybe we can do raw session updates for certain tiers. We'll see. We don't know. It's in the works, but The idea is that we want a really cool, polished product to have in our Patreon for you guys. So it's taken a long time, but we're working on it, and we're going to have it as soon as we can. So thank you guys. We also wanted to start using our platform to advocate for causes that we think are worthy in Will and I's eyes. So if you guys can, there's a link below where you can donate to the PCRF. That's the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. They provide free medical care to thousands of injured and ill children yearly who lack local access to care within the local healthcare system. We'd really appreciate it if you could consider going to donate to that. And then other than that, I think we have nothing else to give. We're done.
I think that's it.
I think we'll call it a game.
Let's call it a game. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
The Dungeoncast.